Hello everyone, I'm Patrick Arnold, analyst at ARC, here at the ARC Industry Leadership Forum in Orlando. And today I'm sitting down with Morten Enholm, Vice President of Data Gateway Solutions at TGS. Morten, great to have you. Could you tell us just a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, my background is from math, and I've been working as a software developer for, well, I think 30 years or something. But for the last 10 years, I went over to the dark side doing sales and business development. So my role at TGS is about selling and marketing the data gateway.
Okay. So one thing I have noticed, especially in the conversation here at ARC Forum, is that a lot of people are struggling with the fragmented data landscape that is out there in the industrial space. So could you tell me a little bit about how your solutions can help deal with the IT/OT gap and create a better marketplace for these ideas?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. One of the biggest challenges or obstacles rather, for the digital transformation is the landscape that is so fragmented. There's a lot of silos out there, and the plants are having these silos and the systems are mostly aimed at getting the data out, only reading them. So what I think they need is a vendor-neutral backbone system that can aggregate, contextualize, and distribute the data across the enterprise, but also at the same time allowing validated write back. Because I think that if you can bridge the legacy with the legacy systems on the edge with the cloud, this is where the data gateway comes in. And that means that you can have an incremental modernization. There's no rip and replace projects. And actually going forward also then supporting AI with maybe even closed loop optimization. And I think that's where the data gateway really can play a good role.
So when you're talking about all the data normalization, it really makes me think of industrial edge, obviously. Could you tell us just a little bit about your company's industrial edge strategy?
Good question. At the edge, that's where strategy actually becomes execution, right? And most of the data, they originate quite close to the process. And so with a secure edge data gateway, or a gateway in general, you can integrate legacy control systems. That means that you put this on top of these systems and you do local normalization and add context. But at the same time, doing it so close to the process, that means that you can reduce the latency and you can increase the resilience. But at the same time, this is also acting like you can call it a controlled execution boundary, which means that you can actually, within safe limits, of course, you can write data back to the process. And that's where you can get the real value of AI and move from just doing small projects to doing actual scaling of AI as well on the edge.
So you mentioned AI, but I know a lot of companies I've talked with have been really struggling with their data accessibility and their data quality. Could you talk a little bit more?
Real value is when you can get AI insights back into the process. So we have this example with a client, for example, that are doing offshore drilling and production, and they're recalculating their injection data periodically, and they're doing that in the cloud using probably some fancy algorithms. I'm not a specialist in that domain, but they can write that data back to the process. And what we add there is a possibility to write it back, but we also add the governance. That means that there are some people, if the client chooses to not close the loop completely, they can have some people to have a look at it and validate, yes, this is okay, it's good to go, then it's written back to the process. That way you can actually use AI to something reasonable and which is giving a better productivity, because people don't have to spend a lot of time on calculating this, and you can use the latest technology at the cloud, for example, for AI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like that example you gave, because it really shows the value of the full top-to-down solution when it comes to building out AI. And on that kind of tangent, I wanted to say, we talk a lot about IT/OT convergence, and I think sometimes in the mix, the ET gets lost in that. Can you talk a little bit about that digital thread and tying in the ET to these solutions as well?
Absolutely. It's no longer just a question about integrating or converging between OT and IT. Engineering technology needs to be there as well, because I think the data stream needs not only to hold the raw values, but actually context. And that's where the engineering technology comes in.
So another big challenge that I see as well is, in industry there is a ton of legacy systems out there. How do you have to grapple with all the legacy that's out there in your solutions?
You're totally right. It's a lot of legacy systems out there, and they cannot be easily replaced. So what we're thinking, or what we're doing for our clients, is that we actually add the data gateway as a layer very close to the process, ingesting all the data from these old systems, or legacy systems rather. And we're, as I mentioned earlier, we're also able to write back to the process, of course. But by doing that, we're putting all of these legacy systems into a modern architecture. And it's also a pathway for being able to write data back so that you can actually utilize AI. I know we're talking a lot about AI, but I think that's kind of, not only kind of, it's getting more and more important actually, to be able to actually get data back to the process. And that can be done without doing these wholesale projects where you replace everything. You can have what you already have there. You just add a data gateway that puts you in the position of having a very modern architecture and utilizing all the new technologies that is coming in the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This is Patrick Arnold at the ARC Forum in Orlando. I've been sitting down with Morten Enholm, Vice President of Data Gateway Solutions at TGS. Morten, thanks so much.
Thank you.